What's up guys, Steven here. Welcome back to yet another episode of How Big Is. So in today's video, we're talking about Bitcoin. And together with you guys, I want to dig deep down and check out the true value of Bitcoin and the possible size of the blockchain and Bitcoin in the next couple of years. I'm Steven from TechMagnet and I'll say, let's jump right in. So right off today, Bitcoin has a value of 10,000 USD. When you're watching this, it could be easily $80,000 or $0.8. Bitcoin is just too volatile. I bet it's more than 10,000 at the time when you're watching this video. If so, stay tuned until the end. So let us start with the basics. Bitcoin is based on a technology called the blockchain. And many blockchain explanations dive into cryptography, trying to explain to lay people how algorithms, hash functions, and digital signatures all work. In their enthusiasm, they can speed past the fundamental question of what blockchain was really designed to do. So let's recap the blockchain and Bitcoin in simple words. You, also called a node, have a file of transactions on your computer called a ledger. Then two government accountants, what's called a miners, have the same file on theirs, so it's distributed. As you make a transaction, your computer sends an email to each accountant to inform them. Now each accountant rushes to be the first to check whether you can afford it and be paid their salary in bitcoins. The first to check and validate hits reply to all others, attaching their logic for verifying the transaction. This is also called proof of work. If the other accountant agrees, everyone updates the file, and that concept is enabled by blockchain technology. So the blockchain has many more technological applications than Bitcoin itself, but Bitcoin is the number one blockchain technology that's here to stay. I'll now give you some figures to get you a feeling on how big Bitcoin actually is. At $9,600 a piece, the total value of all Bitcoins, so their market cap, now tops almost 170 billion US dollars. So gold has a cap of something around 7 trillion US dollars. So Bitcoin has reached almost 2% of the total value of gold by today. That's actually sick, right? Now many people ask me how big the blockchain is. And there's a simple answer for that. Now check out blockchain.info and there you can find a graph that shows you the exact file size of the blockchain, which is increasing over time. We are right now at roughly 145 gigabytes, which doesn't sound a lot, but why is this important? So the blockchain is a constantly growing database of transaction information, which is sent to all nodes in the Bitcoin network. So it's indeed a file that holds every Bitcoin transaction. It's stored on many computers of Bitcoin users around the world, also known as Bitcoin nodes. That's what makes Bitcoin decentralized. There's a copy of the whole system on thousands of computers. So no scammer can get a copy and rewrite it. In order to create such an attack, you will need to rewrite thousands of copies. So when you perform a transaction, that transaction is distributed to the network, and assuming the transaction is valid, it will be included in the next block. It's also important to note that the blockchain technically doesn't store any coins. It stores transaction information, just like a normal bank does with your fiat money. The coins themselves are not discrete things which need storage. So when coins are mined, the miner's balance is credited via a generate transaction which adds to his or her available balance. That's important because that means you can also store your coins on a piece of paper called a cold or offline wallet. That means your coins are totally safe, and that's how I store my Bitcoins. But how big can this bubble get before it bursts? Or is Bitcoin actually a bubble? The supply of Bitcoins is supposed to max out at just 21 million. But while the supply of Bitcoins may be fixed, the supply of ways to invest them into other cryptocurrencies is certainly not. So earlier this year, a fork in the Bitcoin blockchain, similar to what happened in a stock split, created Bitcoin Cash, which now has a market value of nearly 28 billion. So Bitcoin Gold another fork-created spin-off, has a market cap of around 6 billion. So whenever a majority of the Bitcoin community disagrees about rules or future development plans, there could be a blockchain split and create a new so-called currency. However, that's common for an open source project, which Bitcoin actually is. So everyone can suggest something, and if the majority wants to implement it, it can be done. So for me, Bitcoin is the #1 blockchain technology that will succeed on the long run, or at least will have an enormous value and be the digital gold, even though we may not use it for payment in the future. So right now it's hard to use Bitcoin as a payment option, because we simply have a scaling problem. So too many people joined the Bitcoin network, and it was actually not designed for that. So that was also the reason why forks happened. So it's important to realize that transaction capacity is currently a problem because of a limit that was placed into the code and that has been kept there intentionally by the Bitcoin core developers. Right now it's horrible to use Bitcoin as a payment option because of the high fees and the time it takes. Imagine there's a city bus that comes along every 10 minutes and only has 12 seats. So seats go to the highest bidders, and if you aren't willing to pay more than the other 800 or 1,000 people waiting for one of the 12 seats, too bad. So maybe you will get lucky if you wait long enough, but you still have to pay a lot. So that for sure is a problem that has to be solved in the future. There are already a few attempts like Segwit or the Lightning Network, but we'll cover that in another video. Now CoinMarketCap.com now lists over 1,300 cryptocurrencies on its website today. So there's a huge market of coins, and I do believe we'll use different coins in the future to pay. So probably there will be a coin for your region only, for your school, or maybe for your favorite coffee shop. Nobody knows, but I do believe Bitcoin will play a big role, even though it may not be used as a daily payment option. Now the #1 argument which I hear from other people is that Bitcoin is not backed by anything. That's not really true, because unlike fiat currency, Bitcoin's value is also backed by measurable resources, code running on computing hardware powered by electricity, so big data, and this market is huge. So we are a distributor of Avalon miners from Canaan Creative, and we see how many devices they sell. The demand is here, and there are millions of miners already in the network. So there's a lot of trust in that community, in Bitcoin and in the network. So Bitcoin is not only a digital product without anything behind it. It is backed by the community, tons of expensive hardware and electricity. Always keep that in mind. Alright guys, so we're now here at the end of this video, and if you like that topic, up here is a playlist with some more videos on how big is. Next video will come soon, and post now down below in the comments what you want to see next. So also check out our website, it's cryptouniverse.at, and there you can find Bitcoin miners, trading reports and much more. If you have any questions, post them down below in the comments and I'll try to reply as soon as possible. I'm Steven from TechMagnet. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a nice day.